We all have one of those times when we open ourselves to someone, we're really vulnerable, and we try to really reach out to people. But then they either didn't accept us, didn't receive us, or just ignored us. Then we go to the path of, man, shoot, I'm just never gonna open up again because I'm hurt. And this is the very fundamentals of dealing with failure and rejections. Rejections are so hard because it's so personal. It's about yourself. The person rejected you. Personally, I don't think anyone actually wants to get hurt, but this is really a part of life. To try to get through life without getting hurt is trying to swim without getting wet. It's just impossible. And if you haven't subscribed yet, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and of course the bell. Rejections are very hard, and there will be times when we feel like we're just so discouraged because of the rejection that we really lose all interest in life. And this is a very common thing that people have developed because they were hit so hard and it was so discouraging. And I did make a video about this and I'll link it somewhere. However, for this video, we are going to talk about specifically how do you go about handling rejections and failures. And the points I'll be going over is efforts, shifting gears, and really understanding what your mistakes are. Honestly, as people, I really feel like we focus on the negatives so much more than the positives that we don't actually notice the amount of effort that we have put in. And this is something to be taken note of. When you do anything, the only thing that you can really control is your effort. So as long as you have put in your work and you have pushed hard, you know yourself. And that is one of the things that you can applaud yourself on. And I think you should. However, if you really look back on our nature as human beings to really focus so much on the negatives and notice all the dangerous stuff that's going on, it's so easy to give success that 1% of your mind and the negatives, all the other 99% of your problems, fears, everything, all the failures. Do you have that 1% success that you should really be giving more attention to? Let me know in the comments. Whenever we make that one single mistake, we replay that mistake like 1,000 times throughout the week, throughout the month, and we never forget it. But when we have a success, we replay it once, and then we even doubt that maybe if we're actually doing it by chance or if it's actually in any of our efforts. It doesn't make any sense to give your mistakes so much more attention when it's not really helping you in a very constructive way. You need to review your successes to understand that you have just as much ability and potential to be able to get to the other side. Because you can do it, you have shown yourself you can do it, and you should not write off your efforts and your successes. Let's say if I tried really hard in a basketball tournament and I came in 90th place out of 100 people, I should still applaud my efforts. I mean, I should definitely go back and practice harder because of the results that I'm getting. I know I'm not the best player, and I sure the heck I'm not happy about it. But in terms of results and focusing on the successes, I can look at my efforts because I gave it my all, and I should be proud of that. The key thing here is to compare with yourself. Every time we direct the focus onto someone else, we start seeing how everyone else is so much better than you, and it really magnifies our flaws, and that's not something we want to do. Also, in terms of efforts, it really doesn't have to be anything big. It just had to be something that's big for you. If it's taking small steps, by setting small goals, but are challenging for you, go for it, because it helps you move forward. If that goal is you learning how to do small talk with other people for 5 minutes, that's fine, do it. If this is you learning how to handle pressure constantly with others on social media and learning how to really stand your ground, do it. That is your goal. Don't compare yourself with other people, set your own goals, and focus on appreciating your efforts rather if you fail or didn't fail. Other people might not see any of the efforts that you're putting in, but it does not matter. Because the only person that this matters is you. You know how much effort you're putting in, You know how hard you tried, and you should give yourself a reward for it by appreciating how far you have come. Don't forget where you are and your journey and where you came from and how many steps that you have taken to get to this point. People don't really see where you came from, and that matters to you because you need to see your journey and you need to appreciate who you are as a person. What we're really looking for here is when you have done something successfully, you get that feeling of, I can do it. And oh, it is possible. You need to remember that feeling because this is what props you forward and gives you motivation to try harder. And the more you review it, the more confident and you'll feel like you'll be able to see and get to the other side of what you're trying to do. That's why you should always focus on appreciating and giving your all in terms of efforts. However, at the same time, you also need to get out of your mind at that moment. Sometimes when we're facing that moment of rejection and that moment of impact, it hurts really bad. And we are in a state where it's so hard to really think about anything else. And we really just have to get away from the whole situation to kind of reset ourselves. And this is what I call shifting gears. One of the ways to really manage yourself when you're handling these extremely strong emotions is that you have to get to a place where you're really detaching yourself from this situation. You have to really remove yourself from this current state for a little bit so you can really think more clearly once you come back. This is one of the reasons why people use the term sleep on it. And the term basically means that whenever you're really making this huge decision or it's something that's really emotionally charged, you sleep on it, give it a few days, sleep throughout this period of time, and you can come back with a more clear and more objective view so you can make a better decision in the process. And we are trying to implement the same kind of effect here. A great way to go about doing this is to physically change your environment. Because once we're stuck in our place for so long, I know it feels really comfortable sometimes to be in your own room and just feeling safe because you don't really see much people. But we have to really change our environment because a lot of our emotions are attached to the environment we're in. And we have to physically change that environment so we get a different change of pace and focus on something that has just a complete different environment, and we can shift our whole attention to it so we're out of our heads and we're not really thinking about the situation constantly. So for this, I really recommend any physical activities that requires your full attention to really help you getting your body going. And at the same time, after you exercise, you start to feel much better about yourself because like the endorphins, it helps your body relax a lot more, and it really helps you be able to get your mind out of that state. And after a little bit, then come back to it. Then think about the situation in a more objective way. However, there's also another concept that I feel like it's really critical to understanding how exactly everything is, and that is really learning how to interpret mistakes. It's really simple, but it's a mentality that we all have to work through. I really feel like as a society, we don't actually know how to handle rejections or mistakes really well because it's so emotionally charged. It's so personal. If someone just tells you like, I hate you, it's really hard to not take it personally because it's directly right at you. And they're saying you're the reason that this failure happened and that you're the mistake. And it doesn't feel very good. And none of us are being really taught how to handle that emotion. And this is the critical part. In the educational systems, we're taught to be perfectionists. The people who have gotten the highest grades are the smartest people, and that is who you should be. If you made mistakes, you're punished for it. And they will tell you to try harder, and you're not as good as everyone else. In social media, you're taught to be popular, and as long as people think you're attractive, you have a perfect life, or people are doing all these singing that are having amazing voices, then you're rewarded for that. People like you and people follow you. However, people don't really show you all the mistakes and behind the scenes and how life is really imperfection and that mistakes are really part of life. It's an integral part of it. And as long as people are only showing you the side that's really good, you don't really see what life is really about. People make mistakes all the time, and it's perfectly okay that it happens. It's supposed to happen because no one does anything right the first time, and rarely is there a particular way that's actually the right way to do everything. Because life isn't like a test where there's like one correct answer in everything. Life is multitudes of selections and opportunities, and a lot of them have a lot of different ways and solutions to get to everything. Like if you fail an exam or certification or an interview didn't go well, understand that it's not over. This is just part of the process. If you take this time to really see that mistakes and examine them, not from a personal standpoint in terms like when you look at this mistakes, every time you see it, it's like you attacking yourself personally. Don't do that. But if you look at it and see the parts that you can improve on, do minor tweaks and changes that can allow you to propel yourself even better next time, that is what we're looking for. Don't make this personal, because when you make it personal, you will start attacking yourself. Honestly, it's so easy for us to get into that mindset where we believe that people won't like the real us. And then we have to look and do and say all the right things so that people will like us and accept us. And somehow, as long as we fit into this mold, then somehow people will like us. And this is a lot of pressure, and it makes you not want to make any mistakes, and you're constantly walking on eggshells, and that is not really who you are. And you're not going to be and display who you are as a person if you're not allowed to make mistakes. And you have to allow yourself to make mistakes. So the way that I really like to go about approaching this is similar as my last point, is to really go do something else that requires your full attention. When you struggle with a failure or rejection that your mind just couldn't handle at the moment, imagine you have that problem, take it, put it in a box, close it, put it aside, and go do something else. And whenever you have thoughts to constantly go back to that box, take it and then put it back in every time it pops out. And then go do something else until you can feel on an emotional level that you have separated yourself from that event. Like you no longer feel that draw to constantly go back to it. You have to very actively try to separate yourself. And then after that, then go back and evaluate that situation and see it from a standpoint that is more objective. Here, I'm completely not endorsing the fact that you should run away from your problems. However, there is a time when we're so occupied by that problem that we're just constantly thinking about it. And it's really getting to a point where it just doesn't help you at all because you're not benefiting anything from it and you're just putting yourself down all the time. And this is when we really need to remove ourselves from that situation so that we can come back and actually be more productive when we come back. When I say all these things, this is by no means an easy task. I mean, it sounds really simple in terms of the process of how to handle rejections, but I know it's hard because like whenever I get personally rejected from different failures and different things that didn't work, it sucks. Like that feeling will always be there, and it's supposed to be there because we personally investing in those things. And we should not try to avoid those feelings, but learn to really feel and lean into it and learn to manage it in a way that's healthier. But that's all I have for you this week. Hope that this really helped you. And if this has helped you, you can press the like button, share, comment, and yeah, let me know what you think. But that is it. And I will talk to you guys next time.